All right. Sorry about that. So, as we're talking about some thoughts on high performance teams here, right? So, they effectively communicate, right? They embrace the growth mindset rather than resisting change, things like that. They have the trust that's necessary between the individual members and the trust within the team itself, right? They they're flexible, they're resilient,
Perfect.
they can bounce back, right? When things come up, they can adjust a lot faster than those who are not considered high performing. Make sense?
Makes sense.
All right.
It's not so much bickering, arguing and
Yeah.
stuff like that
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
everybody
Yeah.
knows has a role to play and they know what to do. Just go and do it.
Yeah. 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 Good point. Good point. All right. So the first section in the information that you all received, just really just the topic itself is about understanding the importance of high performing teams. Again, as you all know, I don't do word for word what's in the content that you were provided. I'll just be skimming the surface, key takeaways from the individual topics themselves, and then we'll dive into the questions that you see on the screen, right? So the questions on the screen, it's only three of you all. Let's say you take questions one as we go through, Asbury question two, and John, if you would take question three as we're going through them. That way, it gives you an idea, kind of give you a little bit of time to kind of formulate your thoughts and things like that as we move forward, right? So, what do we know about high performing teams based on what research tells us, right? But we know that cultivating high performing teams is crucial to staying ahead of the competitive business landscape, right? We know that teams excel in collaboration. We know they excel in communication. We know they excel in adaptability, ultimately driving the success of the organization, right? We know that embracing diversity, right, within the high performing teams fosters creativity, it fosters innovation, and that comprehensive problem solving, ultimately enhancing the team's capacity to serve the diverse clientele that they may have, right? And also negotiate any challenges that may arise from that diverse population that they serve a little bit more effectively. We know that trust, forms that cornerstone of that high performing relationship, right? Fostering open communication, collaborating, positive work environments, where members feel empowered, they feel heard, they feel that they can contribute to the support and support the organization and one another, ultimately to achieve the shared goals, as Barry mentioned there. And then high performing teams prioritize continuous improvement, right? They don't get stagnant, right? Constantly evolving processes, embracing innovation, and fostering that culture of learning from failures. Key, fostering a culture of learning from failures, right? Which ultimately enables them to adapt and excel and respond to the varying market demands that may be part of their mission set. So let's take a look at the questions. We got three questions there. And again, Yuko, question one, Asbury, question two, and John, question three, as we are going through the presentation here. So, Yuko, how would you define a high-performing team, and why do you believe such teams are crucial for achieving organizational success? Let me see if I can go. You can feel free to just go for it, Yuko. I'm figuring out if I can
Okay. Yeah.
reduce some of the noise. Go ahead, Yuko.
Okay, just a moment. Yes. I need to give more time. So
Okay.
could you
Yeah. All right. Yeah.
give me more
Asbury,
time?
what are your thoughts on number two? Question number two there.
Number two is I'm a volunteer firefighter.
Ah.
And as a career firefighter, there's a career and a volunteer firefighter. We work
Mm,
together.
mm,
We notice how the career firefighters work in a unison. They get things done in a
yeah.
practice, practice. Every day you got to go out there and do your PM on your vehicles and make
Wow.
sure this starts, make sure this is right. These guys practice every day. For
Yeah.
the volunteers, we're volunteers. We come in and wow, where's fire? And
Right.
and it's not the same. So to
Yeah.
see these guys work, man, it's like, oh man, this is awesome.
Yeah.
You know, the
You can
volunteers don't get the challenge like
you
that.
can really feel a difference.
Yes, it's a big
Yeah.
difference.
Yeah. John, question, John. Have you noticed a difference in the way the active duties airmen 2T1s perform as compared to when the Guard or Reserve show up at your installation?
Oh yeah, definitely. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Surprisingly, it's actually been the guard guys are like the ones that come in and say, "Okay, where's the fire? Let's get this done."
Yes.
And
Uh-huh.
then it's been the career ones that are like, "Hey, so why are we doing this?
Yeah.
What's the mission? What's this? What's that?" And I'm like,
Yeah.
"Okay, how about this? How about you go do the job and you come back? I'll break it down for you."
Right.
And you come back and I'm like, "Okay, you want me to break it down for you?" And they're like, "No, I'm good." I'm like,
Yeah.
"Cool. Okay, get back in the driver's pool."
Yeah. Yeah. Nice. Yeah, that's great stuff, man. That's great stuff. And I definitely see in both scenarios that y'all pose there, I
Right.
definitely can see that there being a difference there as well. Well, good. Yuko, what are your thoughts on question one up there?
Thank you for waiting. So I would define for the high performance team in the open communication
Mm,
and then trust the all team member.
hmm
Then and yeah, kind of stuff.
Yeah. Anybody else? What are your thoughts on question one? Anybody else? No? All right. Well, good. Well, thank y'all. Great responses to those questions there as well. So I appreciate that. Let's look at unless y'all had any more questions on the topic there. No, let's check out the next section there. So just like before, everybody got their assigned questions there, 1, 2, and 3. But let's talk about identifying the common team building challenges, right? And I know y'all touched on a couple of those as well, just in that first part. But research tells us that things like clear goals and objectives are essential for the effective team performance, as they provide that direction, the unity and the motivation, helping team members understand their roles and foster that sense of purpose and achievement, right? The effective communication is crucial for overcoming hurdles within the team, fostering that trust, as we talked about, preventing any misunderstandings that may come up. It requires that promoting of open dialogue, active listening, and utilizing various communication tools or sometimes technology, right? Communicating those to enhance that collaboration between the teams, especially if you're in a remote or a virtual team setting, right? Especially when you're in that team setting. We have to learn to not allow the computer to be a hurdle or a barrier for us being able to keep our team performing at very high levels, right? So addressing team dynamic challenges involves promoting cohesion through the team building activities or exercises that your team may partake in, fostering a culture of respect for diversity across your team members, leveraging individual strength to create a more balanced and complementary set of skills between the team members, especially if you got people in the remote settings. So you got to keep those in the loop, right? And ultimately enhancing the overall team performance. and handling conflicts. And I know Barry touched a little bit about on reducing the amount of conflicts that may come up, handling those conflicts promptly and constructively, which is very important. Constructively is vital to maintaining team performance. Team leaders should act as mediators, right?
Mhm.
Can't tell you how many sessions I've been in. I'm like, all right, all right, all right, right? Encouraging understanding. I hear what you're saying. I hear what you're saying. This is what you're both saying. You're saying the same thing, right? And turn those
Right.
conflicts into learning opportunities through that constructive criticism. I understand what both of y'all are saying, but you may not have all the information, right? To establish that structured type of conflict resolution. That's where leaders come into play. That's where you come into play. Right? So let's look at the questions. Yuko, what are some of the biggest obstacles, challenges teams that you've been part of have experienced, right? When trying to be a team, when trying to be united. What are some things you've experienced?
Yes. So I'm working for with some team,
Mhm.
not always agree to everybody. Some
Ah,
people against, my opinion.
ah,
Say, no, I don't take that kind of work. So,
right,
but some people, I I will take that one. So
right.
it's
Yeah,
different opinion we have. So
yeah,
that time, how could unite, the kind of team, and then
right.
how convince them for my opinion, or
Mm,
how I will convince their opinion. So
mhm.
it's gonna be tough time.
Yeah. So the challenge being accept so in a for instance brainstorming session,
Yes.
accepting other people's feedback or accepting other people's
Yes.
opinions or thoughts, things like that. And that can be really, really, really tricky. But you have to remain open to new ideas. That's what leaders do. They have to remain open to everybody's idea in the group setting, right?
Yeah.
So and understanding that not to attack the person, but attack the topic itself. Because if you're in a setting to where you are seeking inputs, and it's just about letting the inputs come in.
Right.
Yeah. And respecting those who decided to share their inputs. Great job. Thank you.
It's almost like back in the ALS days of forming, storming, and norming with
That's
team.
right. That's right, man. And you got to go through those stages, especially if you are if you are a new team forming. All right. If you're a new team forming, you're going to go through those stages and you have to allow that to happen. Especially, for instance, if you're a new team forming on a new issue to address maybe a financial issue or maybe to address a process issue where you have multiple people coming in from multiple different areas to fix this problem. John, you nailed it, man. You will have to go through all those stages without a doubt. Great, great addition to that, I thought. Barry, what you got on number 2 there?
I can't describe a professional situation because I'm in the field of construction and stuff like that. But we do, like I said, equipment, if the equipment is not there like it's supposed to be, if it's not up to par like it's supposed to do, then we have to come down on somebody else. And being a good team player,
Mm.
this is part of your job.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
fill in where somebody else, somebody told you go to make sure the machine is filled up, make sure this is done,
yeah,
and you bring this all into the pot together, and we can knock this out. But
right.
the things are not done properly or correctly, it's going to hamper us from doing the job.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
that's been so I have to stay on guys, hey, did you do this? Did you do that? Did you do that? But if they're
Yeah,
already doing it, dude,
yeah.
you know,
So what would you say the challenge in that scenario, those scenarios would be then?
my challenge is to I'm trying to let them come together and build together. But if you can't build together, I got to stay on your back. And I'm not trying to do that. I'm not trying to be that whip ass kind of person. I'm trying to sit back and let y'all do and mold come together as one.
Yeah.
And that give you that team building to strive and knock this job out without all this rigmarole. And I'm not trying to do that.
So your challenge is their ability to come together as a team on their own.
On their own.
Yeah.
I'm your supervisor. Yes, I'm going to supervise you.
Right.
I want you to come together. I've taught you how to do this.
Yeah.
And you got to come together as a team. You know what that person needs, what that other person, you almost got to read somebody's mind, or you got to be able to do the work in your head before, do the work in your head, because you'll know what that guy needs next.
Yeah.
So something like that. If you're doing something, I've already done that before. I know what you're gonna need next.
Yeah. So how much of that do you think involves, or how much of that do you think is hindered by possibly respecting the diverse skills of each other, or
it's a
leveraging?
It's a big difference, because a lot of them are not mechanics. I'm not mechanically inclined. I'm trying to teach you mechanically and be mechanically inclined.
Yeah.
See it in your mind, build it in your mind.
Right.
Before you get upset about something that you don't have to be upset. I know you don't know. I'm trying to show you. I'm trying to teach you how to do this.
Yeah, because ideally you want them to get to a point where they're able to leverage each other's skills.
Exactly.
And skill sets and strengths.
And I don't have to be there over your back.
Yeah. Okay. Gotcha. Thank you for explaining that. That's great. That was a great job. John, what do you have on number 3 there, John? From your perspective.
So from my perspective, definitely communication plays a huge piece of team building.
How so?
Well, for right now, we've got brand new airmen that have just joined the military. They got that headlights kind of look right now. I mean, the other day we were training up one of our airmen on how to answer the phone and everything, and I asked her, it was like, hey, go ahead and call this number and ask this person to come up to dispatch. She looked at me like with this like deer in the headlights, puppy dog look of, do I really need to do this? I'm like, you are in the focal brain support section of our job.
Yeah.
You need to learn how to answer the phone and be able to communicate to people what you're needing and stuff. I'm like, and she was just like, she got just so scared, and I'm like, okay, take 5 and everything, come back. You gotta learn this. You gotta learn this stuff. And obviously, of course, like communicating to our drivers exactly what they're expected to know as far as like locations, pickup and delivery, how much cargo they're moving and everything, and where that's going, and stuff like that. That is very key for a logistics focused career field. Is communication is 100%. That is the key part.
And understanding communication.
So like teaching everybody the shorthand that we use as far as like our 10 series codes. Everything. So
do you find that do you find motivation an issue in communicating with the younger airmen?
Yeah, a little bit. Apparently, the language that I've grown up using has changed considerably for them. Like, the other day, I walked into our break area and I said, I'm going to be out of pocket for like 10, 15 minutes. And they started laughing and everything. I'm like,
Oh, right. They didn't know what out of pocket meant.
Like, what are you laughing, why are you laughing about that? I'm like, I'm just saying I'm gonna be done for like 10, 15 minutes. I'm like, Sergeant Oliver, that's completely different than what it means now. I'm like,
Right.
it's only been 10 years.
It's
How
only
has
been
it
10.
changed?
Man, the
Yeah.
world moves
Wow.
fast.
How about that? Cross-generational communication, man.
Yeah.
It is real.
Yeah, yeah.
It is
I'm like,
real. Well,
I'm
that's
like, oh,
awesome.
you're
Yeah,
kidding me.
and John, let me tell you, one of the ground rules, housekeeping rules for the discussions that we have is for you to share relevant stories about the
Yeah.
topic. This is
Yeah.
exactly what I like to hear. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Just like Asbury can share the stories, from when he's down, working with his folks out at the job site, things like that.
Yeah, man.
Feel free to share those stories because sometimes it's a story that you're now able to connect to a theory or a principle or concept that may be out there, may help explain the why behind, you know what I mean? Why that behavior is the way it is. So yeah, that's great. That's great. That's great. Thank you so much for that. Great job on those questions, y'all. Did anybody have anything else to add? All right.
John, where are you? Where are you, John?
I'm in Guam.
Oh, Guam. Okay. Yeah, my
Yeah.
brother was there one time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anderson Air Force Base.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, great place. A great place to visit.
Yeah.
Great place to visit.
It's a good place to visit.
Yeah, great place to visit.
Yeah, I'm ready to leave.
I hear you. I hear
How
you.
long you been there, John?
I've been here for about a year and a half now, so I'm
Yeah.
actually just waiting for my next assignment.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Is that
Yeah.
considered a hardship tour?
No,
Not at all.
Oh,
Not at
No.
all. No,
I
not
wish
at
it
all.
was. I wish
Right.
it was.
So let's look at the next section, defining high performance in today's business landscape. Couple key takeaways from this, based on what research tells us about these teams, right? These teams embrace technology and data-driven insights to achieve the sustained high performance in today's competitive and corporate landscape. So they have to use data to keep them on the cutting edge of staying at the higher performance levels. Because it only take you're always one tweet away from going bankrupt, right? You're always one miscommunication away from going belly up. So they have to use the data and they have to use technology nowadays to stay competitive, right? We know that teams foster a growth mindset that prioritizes adaptability. They have to be able to change with the times, right? Just like the new airmen, you have to be able to change with what they're bringing to the mission now, right? We know teams have to be proactive in their decision making. They have to foster that continuous learning to achieve high performance within the business landscape. As the cultures change, we know we have to stay ahead of what's going on in not just in the financial area of the business, not just in the data collection area of the business, not just the retention area of the business, but we have to make sure that our team members are getting the education and getting the training that they need to also stay ahead of the curve, right? So we have to cultivate that culture of employee empowerment. We have to allow them to come to us and say, sir, ma'am, this is broken. This what we need to do. These are things that I've come across that we need help with, and only you as the supervisor, you as the leader, you as the manager, you as the foreman can help us with this. We have to allow we have to allow employee engagement, right? Recognition. We have to recognize them. We have to look at their well-being and how that fosters loyalty between the team members, and how that fosters motivation, and ultimately drive the organizational success that we are all should be striving for as leaders, managers, and foremen, supervisors, or whatever position that we may be in. We know that these teams also harness the power of data analytics, right? And business intelligence to drive informed decisions and enhance the operational efficiencies that go on within the organization in order to first gain competitive advantage and then keep that competitive advantage, especially in a digital world that we're operating in, right? So embrace technology, foster growth mindset, right? Cultivate a culture of employee engagement and kind of harnessing that power of data. All things that really define what that high performance team is in our current business environment. So let's look at the questions. So the first question up there, Yuko, how has this concept of high performance evolved in today's rapidly changing landscape? And what new factors or elements are considered essential for team building high performance? What are your thoughts?
Yes, so I still the people running some high technology. You know, it's kind of they said embarrassing growth minded and encourage learning and experimental and adoption. So technology is always change, but we're gonna keep up so learning technology.
So so technology and the business landscape has changed over time, and continuous learning
Yes.
is how you kind of address those issues,
Yes.
right? When we're talking about the new factors or elements to consider. So we do have to consider, because the landscape has changed, we're no longer doing, for instance, as John mentioned, he's 10 years in the game, but the airmen are 1 year in the game, right? And he has to know and understand that what he was doing 10 years ago as an airman has completely changed. The landscape has completely changed. So he now has to, as Yuko mentioned, adapt and overcome those particular challenges that the new airman will face. Because John faced issues that I didn't face when, over my 30 years, right? And so John now has to shift to adapt and overcome in order to remain competitive, if you will, with the mission itself. So great job. Barry, what you got on number 2 there?
Pretty much, just like, Yuko was saying, diversity, overcoming, it's not even just not in the professional world. United States is, I'm saying the United States because I haven't been all over the world to see everything else. The United States is bending to diversity. You got these holidays now. Dude, we got 13 holidays that we celebrate
federal holidays.
Yeah, federal holidays that we have to, give to each and every people that's out here now. One time it was just maybe 4 or 5 holidays that we would have: Christmas, New Year's, and stuff like that. So we have to go over, give everybody a chance to be happy with living in the United States. I mean, I say that because living in the United States, it could be just a business. What is the business giving you to be happy within this group?
Yeah.
If you're not happy within this group, they're gonna, the attention span is gonna go somewhere else.
Yeah.
You're not gonna have that high performance anymore. They rather give it to somebody, go somewhere else and get that high performance team somewhere else. So
right. And the recognizing that the population has changed.
Has changed big time.
Has become more diverse.
You got, oh man, I swear, man, you got all kind of diversity,
Right. Has become more diverse. Now that population, because we have to keep in mind, just like in the military, I'd always tell people, hey, look, your military looks the way your society looks.
Yes.
Right. So they'll come in the military, but remember, they came in from outside of the gate.
Yeah.
They weren't born inside the gate. They came in. So they're now in the gate. They're now in the uniform. They're now in the States. They're now at your company. They're now on your team.
You got to make them
happy.
happy.
They're now on call with you when you go out.
Yep.
To a burst water pipe.
Yep. You got to make them happy.
And you have to understand that because it's now such a diverse team, we have to know, understand, respect
their feelings,
all those things about that particular person.
Yeah.
Especially if we want to stay a tight knit, high performing team.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
absolutely. Absolutely.
The other day, I was actually talking to some of my airmen about this because they were bringing up diversity and inclusion and all this stuff. And I looked at them and I said, you don't have to worry about diversity and inclusion with me because I'm going to treat you all the exact same way.
Right.
Yeah.
You all happen to have that E1 to E4 rank, which means that your job is just to drive.
That's it.
Guess what? You go drive, you go drive, you go drive, you go drive, get out of my office.
Everybody equally driving and getting out of your office.
Exactly. I'm like, get out of my office and go drive. But then when I'm with the other sergeants and everything, we will have a little more, other discussions and stuff. But I'm going to treat you guys all the same too.
Yeah.
You're a staff sergeant. You're a staff sergeant. I'm a tech sergeant. Guess what?
Yeah.
If you want to, play rock, paper, flip rank, I win.
Right.
So,
right. Yeah.
And I expect that my leadership is going to treat me the same way.
Right.
Sure.
Be the way that goes with my rank, with my roles and responsibilities and everything.
Yeah.
And, if they belittle me a little bit, then I'm going to be like, okay, let me just take a step back. Let me decompress. And then we'll go tackle this issue again. Yeah. I'm not going to throw up this big white flag that says I surrender or I'm like, hold on a second. This isn't the way the diversity and inclusion works. I'm like, I got a job to do.
Yeah.
My job is to protect the nation and its citizens and to put the mission first. And my feelings come second.
Yeah. So diversity has a very positive role.
They do have a very positive role. Like some of the greatest people that I've met have, been from different backgrounds or have different, different mindsets and everything, like, or different relation statuses and everything. And to be honest, I don't care about your personal background and everything. Like if you are gay, then hey, you're gay. If you're straight, then you're straight.
Right.
As long as you can do the job.
Right.
Do the job. That's the thing.
Yeah.
Job, then I'm fine with it.
Right.
Yeah.
Because that's all you are. You are just my worker. I'm not gonna get later on down the road, we can get invested in your personal, background and everything. But right now, we got a job to do. You've been trained to do this job.
Right.
Go do this job. And then when we come back, then we can go get a beer or something like that. We can hang out when the mission is complete. But for right now, you are all the same to me. You all look the same.
So how do you all accept, if you do you accept diversity in thought? So if you, for instance, if you're out on a mission or if you're out on a job site, Asbury, how do you deal with diversity of thought? For instance, we know one of your team members say, hey, Mr. Parker, I feel where you're going with that, but I think this would work much better. And we should probably go down this route rather than the route that you're proposing. Diversity in thought. Where are you all at with that?
I'm good with that. My thing is what I do, I'm not always right.
Okay,
I'm not always right.
Yeah.
There's always going to be somebody better than you or say something, but I will acknowledge what he say, and if I see that what he says is a whole lot better, then yes, I will go with that.
Okay.
But I will check it out first before I say, hey, let's go with that then. No, I am the supervisor, so I must make sure that everything is safety first.
Yeah.
You know, if you want to go this route, if I'm telling you go this route, I know all the safety barriers for this route.
Right.
But if you're saying something else, well, let me check this out first before I say yes to it.
Right.
You know,
And
but I'm good with that. I would love for them to say stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm
And
kind of the same way. Definitely. Airmen will come up and say, well, why don't we do it this way?
right.
And everything. I'm like, okay, if you think you can figure out a way to do it better, go ahead, come up with a plan and everything, present it to me. And then if I like the plan and if it works, then hey, we'll do it. We'll try it out. We'll test it out. We'll do a test period and everything and see how this goes.
Yeah.
But if it doesn't work, it's not going to fall back on you for coming up with a different decision. It's
Right.
I say it good on you for thinking something through and coming up with a plan, designing it. It didn't work out.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So in that scenario, John, what if the data analytics conflicts with what they may be proposing?
How old is that data analytic?
So let's say for current data.
You know?
Let's say current data. They got, because you're the one in control of data. You own what the data say, you know. So what if what your airman or what your employer is saying conflicts to what the data about that issue says? How do you address that?
Well, you got theory, and then you got practical. I'm good with practical, man. I really. These guys are putting in the work.
Right. Okay.
And you come up with, I think we should do this, and I think we should. I'm not for that.
Engineers.
Yeah.
Right.
Not for that.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. How about you, John?
I mean, 90% of my job is all like hands-on.
Yeah.
We're driving buses, we're moving cargo, driving forklifts, wreckering vehicles and stuff. So 90% of it's hands-on. The data really is just the backup, just to show what we've done and everything. It doesn't really show like what, like besides processes and everything, but that's all hands-on. That's all at the mercy of my trainers and stuff like that. So I mean, on the practical side, if somebody has a different decision and everything that isn't going to, let's say, skew our data to be accurate as far as like PAX counts and how many pounds of cargo we've moved and stuff like that, then I'm all for them coming up with a different process. But of course, I also have a checks and balance system that I respond to, meaning that like if we are using a different training model than what the military has approved, then that means, okay, I gotta be very careful with how I present this because somebody's either gonna say, you done something wrong. You're in trouble. Even though it looks better, they're gonna say, somebody with more stripes than me is gonna be like, you done fucked up.
You
implemented a new program.
Exactly.
Without military approval.
And we have to understand, or we have to remember really, data, we have, as Asbury mentioned, the first thing said, well, how old is the data? You know, the data really is just a snapshot in time. And it may take into account a month ago, a year ago, 10 years ago worth of data. And yes, it should be used to drive future behaviors, right? But at that moment in time where you are right now, when you have a aircraft out on the flight line, in the hot pit, for instance, or when, in Asbury's case, he's got a busted water pipe underneath of the governor's mansion. And you talk about data. I ain't got time for that right now.
No, sir, it's gotta be done.
I got some things going on right now that we're gonna get through first, and we can talk about the analytics of how we could do it better next time a little bit later.
Yeah.
Make sense?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Well, great job on that. So, John, question number 3.
So with the expansion of virtual teams and remote work, Personally, for me, I think it's kind of hard because I remember when I was in COVID and everything, and at my previous job, 90% of my job was all like personality, like person based. Like I was not sitting at a computer all the time. Like I worked directly for a general, so at the time my job was to go around and you know give assignments out based on what the boss wanted and everything. And now we're virtual, so it's like, oh, the boss can just type up an email and then just shoot it out to these guys. And my job was essentially being taken away, kind of thing. But I think it also takes away the sense of urgency, I think. Because now that you're virtually like separated and everything, or geographically separated, it can actually take away the piece of, well, the boss isn't going to come down to my office right now and tell me to get things done. Because I'm over in, Arizona while they're in Texas.
Right.
So, but it also is dependent on the mentality of like the individual as well. Like some people do work better in a, virtual remote setting and everything.
The autonomous work.
The autonomous
self-motivation. How do you keep them motivated to stay engaged though in that particular environment?
I mean, I'm still figuring that part out. Everything, how to still get people motivated, because like here in Guam, we're pretty remote. Like if you think about it, we are one of the most remote areas, at least within the U.S. military. And everything. And I mean, just to get an Amazon package takes us like a month to get one little package from Amazon and everything. So in a remote setting and or a virtual setting, as far as accountability and everything, personally for me, I don't like it at all. I am a very I need to be around people. I'm a huge extrovert. Like I need to be around people in a physical setting and everything. Feed off of them and everything. For my mental health and everything too. So like but as far as like high performance teams and adaptive work and everything and the challenges, a digital world definitely is a huge challenge to that, because you take away the human aspect. It's very hard for you to keep that human part if you're working on a digital platform.
I understand. Well, I appreciate that. That was a great great analogy as well. Thank you all for that. Good stuff. Let's look at the final section there. The impact, and I think we touched on a little bit of that throughout, but the impact of effective team building and what that does for the success of the organization, right? So we know that leaders are really going to be the ones responsible for fostering that diverse and really complementary team, right? They have to know and understand how to share goals and how those shared goals enhances creativity, problem solving, things of productivity, and while building trust and solidarity amongst the team members within that organization. But why is that important, right? Well, because effective team building not only enhances productivity, but it also promotes that better communication between the members of the team. It enhances cooperation, and again, proactive problem solving, right? Getting after it before it becomes a big issue, right? Ultimately fostering a more peaceful, adaptive work culture. Now, cultivating effective team building fosters higher employee morale, right? When the teams are happy, when they see that you're happy and doing what you're doing, they in turn will try to follow and emulate what you're doing, how you approach your mission set, right? It also leads to job satisfaction. It also leads to higher levels of loyalty between the members of the team itself, and then ultimately the organization. Ultimately leading to reduced turnover rates, of course. And in John's case, for instance, that recidivism, the turnover rate being the military people coming in and staying in, right? increased retention rates of especially our top talents, some of our best construction employees and some of our best, because I know Yuko worked in kind of HR realms, best HR people, best there, and really that culture of dedication and excellence that we want to present and for our employees to kind of emulate throughout the organization. So because effective team building fosters continuous improvement, right? And skills development, it empowers the members of the team and it empowers the team as a whole to stay ahead of the market, to be able to adapt to changes and embrace what we talked about, innovative pursuits, and ultimately strengthen the organization's competitive edge across the board. And it promotes their professional growth along the way. So good. Just some thoughts on how the of the impact of effective team building. As you see, diverse and complementary teams, better communication, higher morale, and empowered teams. So, Yuko, question 1, based on your observation, how does successful team building contribute to an organization's overall performance? How does successful team building, when you as a supervisor get it right, what does it look like?
I think good feedback and improving the business.
The feedback. So explain.
Okay, let me clear for by myself.
Okay.
So I'm thinking.
Okay. So when let me see if I understand what you're trying to say here. When the team is working together, strong, communicating well, that's good for the organizational revenue,
Yes.
organizational performance. It's good for. Am I on the right track or?
Yes, you're right. It's kind of successful team is people can open communicate each other. And then,
Yeah.
so can easily to feedback themselves.
Yeah.
That means it's affected,
Right.
companies benefit,
Right.
everything.
Right.
So innovation well,
Mm-hmm.
so
Yeah. So
improve.
the members of the team feel free to communicate openly, share their thoughts, opinions, that type
Right.
stuff. So that feedback that the employee gives the boss or the supervisor is better accepted, more readily accepted, things like that. Yeah,
Right.
makes sense. That makes sense. Yeah.
Thank you for help.
Well, no worries. So Asbury, number 2.
Tangible benefits.
Mm-hmm.
Man, benefits of having a good team building.
Yeah. What are some of those things?
It's awesome, man.
Yeah.
Everything on one accord, everything's moving smoothly.
Yeah.
Get that hiccup, bang.
Yeah.
You got to learn to. It's how you're able to come out of something to get back into something.
Yeah.
The way you talk to your employees, how you talk to your employees, what you do to make your employees, not make your employees, but you're asking your employees to do.
Sure.
And will they do it? How they do it is how you're moving in a positive forward motion.
Yeah.
Man, I'm telling you.
Yeah.
That moving forward, man,
That's great.
It's a greater feeling because some of these companies put you on a bonus thing.
Okay. So
So
higher the performance, the more
yeah.
I get
You
a
good performance in
boost.
this month. Your
Right.
bonus, not so much your bonus, but they put you in
It's
what's that thing
incentive.
called? Yeah, some kind of incentive. Sam's Club used to do it.
Oh, okay.
They would put your money into a
Right. Like a
yeah,
IRA or
yeah, something like that. And they
right.
said, "Oh, you've reached such and such and such this month
Right.
because
Right.
your
Right.
performance went up. You know, your everybody in the
Yeah.
company's gone.
Yeah.
It's going forward." And
Yeah.
and that was a great feeling to work at Sam's Club and see that stuff going up, man. Because at the end of
Right.
the year, you got like $10,000 bonus, man.
Yeah.
I was like, what?
Right.
You
Right.
know,
Right.
because the one
Yeah.
time
That's great.
they would announce it over the loudspeaker.
Mm.
Your blah 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 has been blah 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 up to 10,000 and so
Uh-huh.
and we heard that. It was like, oh man, that's great.
Yeah. And that's part of investing in,
That's
your
investing. That's what
people.
I meant. Yeah,
Yeah,
investing.
investing in your people. That's
Yes,
awesome.
and that's what they were doing. So
Yeah, that's great.
Sam's Club, man. I'm telling you, that was a great
Yeah,
place to work at one time.
that's great. Great. That's a great example as well. John, what about number 3 there?
So my opinion of the important performance indicators, I
You all
mean,
still use KPIs?
no.
Okay.
He never even heard of that,
Key
man.
performance indicators or like dispatch and stuff and
Oh,
funds and
it's been a long time since I've heard it said KPI, but yeah, we do use key performance indicators and stuff like that. So
yeah.
like, I mean, uh, for me, in my opinion, like for performance indicators and everything, is definitely the morale of the shop.
Mm-hmm.
Like for a section or for a career field, one of the very few on the base that is a 24-hour, 7-day a week, 365 career field
Yeah.
and thing. It's very easy for us to forget about the guys that are on the off shifts, the swings or our mid shift and everything. And it's key for us to be able to remember to reach out to them and see
Yeah.
how they're doing.
Sure.
That means that we need to start moving people around in different shifts, which is
Mm.
actually I'm in the process of doing right now.
Yeah.
Is rearranging our schedule so then we can move people from day shift to mid shift to swing shift like that. Also making sure that we take into account like what days off they would like to have. Because I know that one of my sergeants would like to have time off with her wife and everything.
Mm-hmm.
You
How
know,
does that affect, like, how does the morale then affect the overall organizational success of the organizational outcomes?
I think is a very big part because if we don't have, workers that feel that they are appreciated and that they're being listened to and everything that I've been in shops where it's like, okay, you guys are just workers. You'll do what we say. You'll do what we tell you, and then that's it. Where you're not going to get rewarded for any of your hard work or anything. You just
Right.
go do your job. I've been in shops like that, and I can tell you right now that it's been horrible.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
was one of the areas where it's like, okay, this shop is not retaining enough personnel because the leadership's crap.
Yeah. Yeah.
Leadership is all about themselves, making themselves look good and not focusing on the workers and stuff. So
what?
shop, I'm trying to focus on the workers and
Yeah.
get these guys so then they will stay in longer and stuff like that.
Yeah. So I know there's a lot of team building activities that exist within the military. But Asbury, how about you? Do you all have any team building activities that you do with your team?
No, we don't have team building activities. What we do is for our team building, we do continued education. Continued education is a thing where we get a group of guys that'll go out there and try to get their license and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Get a certificate.
Yeah.
And when you get the certificate, that's a bonus on your check.
Uh-huh.
So
that's like really good.
Yes.
Yeah, to be able to do that together as a group.
Exactly.
I know that I know like for your licenses and things like that, you went to, I think, Virginia or something.
Yes, they send you away to school for a week.
Yeah.
So that's coming up just before Memorial Day. So.
That's great. That's what it takes, though, you know.
Oh
You
yeah.
have to look at, and you know, I mean, that's outside of the typical, hey, let's all meet up at a bar.
Mm-hmm.
That's completely outside of that. You know what I mean? That's one form of team building. But another way of team building is we can get together collectively as a group and we could actually do some continuing education together as a group, build that unity, strengthen the trust, and work together as a team for us to collectively get this certification.
Right.
We can definitely do that.
And that's
Man,
what a lot of.
that's awesome.
Because I want the
Great. Go. I'm sorry.
I just say I want the guys to strive. That's why I say I want you to get your license. I want you to move, be able to move
Yeah.
up. The man
Yeah.
say you can't do something. You say, hey, here's my piece of paper saying I can do it.
That's right. About that. Oh, that's great. Well, great job on those questions there as well, y'all. Definitely. Let's look. What other questions do you all have about what we talked about today? Any thoughts? Any follow-up? Any reattacks?
Team, like I said, man, team building. This whole learning thing is a great. It's great. I'm telling you, man. Engineers, doctors, they all need this.
Yeah.
You know, without this, you cannot govern anybody.
Right.
Just because you got a doctorate degree, just because you got a master's degree in psychology and stuff like that, you need this.
Yeah. Continuing education is very important.
Continued education on learning and how to build a positive leadership course, leadership in the development of your professional development.
Yeah.
You need it.
Yeah.
You need it. Military, you need it.
I agree.
Yeah,
Yeah, I agree.
You know, so
yeah. Well, thank you for that. So let's this is what we talked about today, y'all. We got through it pretty quick, actually. Because I know Asbury and Yuko has been on these before, and we could, based on the conversation, it could go longer, and you know what I mean. And I'm here for whatever direction the group goes in. But as you see, these are the topics that we discussed today. All right. And I just want to touch base, and I know that all of you all went through this process to get registered. It's the same process for each of the classes. And I saw, John, you signed up for 2 other ones as well. I think one in July and one in August, right?
Yep.
Great stuff, man. That's great. I do appreciate you doing that and leaning forward. So as we get closer to those dates, I'll send out, just like I did the yesterday with you, send out what you need to get connected to those particular sessions as well, right? Along the way, feel free to email your thoughts, likes, dislikes, any suggested ways we can improve what we're doing here. My goal is to keep these free. You know what I mean? So I can only do these if I have enough people on the other side of the screen.
Mm-hmm.
I can't really do it with one person. It just doesn't work the same way because you don't get the diverse perspectives that's really needed for facilitated discussion. So definitely tell other people about, what we're doing here. You know what I mean? Everybody's going to get a certificate, and I'll show you the certificate later. But when you get the certificate, let's see. When you get the certificate, take a photo of you with the certificate. Send it to me. I'll, put it on my social media sites and congratulate you as well. And then you do the same on your websites, your social media sites, things like that along the way. Also, too, feel free to sign up for the next micro session. The next one is scheduled for the 4th of May. Same time on our end and on the Pacific Standard Time. Same time on the Eastern Standard Time. And then for you, John, a little bit. I know it's really early for you, but same time for you. We try to be as consistent as possible with the time so that people are not really jumping around, things like that. So, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I appreciate that.
Yeah. And then, so the next topic that we'll be discussing is going to be change management, right? And again, my goal really is to have you all go through the website and sign up, so forth and so on. All right, team. I'm going to stop sharing. All right. So there we are. An amazing team, right? What questions, concerns do you have before we give you back your Saturday?
I'm good.
I'm good.
Yeah. All
Time
right.
for me to enjoy my Sunday.
Oh, yes, that's right. That's right. That's right.
Good day ahead, you guys.
All right, John. Well, again, you'll see me advertise out on the 2T1 page out there. By all means, share with your team. If John, and then I mean this from the bottom of my heart, if you feel like these are courses, something like this, what you want your team to do, let me know that, and we'll set up a separate date and time that's more conducive to you all. You pick the topic. I'll do the same thing we did here with your team.
Yep,
Hold me
definitely.
to that. Hold me to that.
I
All
will.
right.
I will. Now that you said it, I'm going to hold you to it.
You got my direct contact information. You know how to contact me. Reach out to me. I'll set something up. Same thing with you, Asbury. If you want to, you want your team to sit in on something like this, I'll set up a separate date and time from what we're doing here, and work with your team. I have no objections to doing that. You got my direct contact information as well.
Okay.
All right. So the next message from me will be me sending over your certificates for today's session.
Yes, sir.
All right. Thank y'all so
Thank
much
you,
again. Be safe. Take care of yourselves, and we'll
Take
be
care.
back in touch.
All right.
All right.